If the national rail strikes go ahead, then the union leaders and anyone who takes part will have blood on their hands. Mark my words, people will die. Members of the RMT union at Network Rail and 13 train operators will strike next Tuesday, Thursday and Saturday. Entire cities and towns across the UK will effectively be cut off from one another. Well, what does this really mean in practice? Well, Health Secretary Sajid Javid has warned doctors and nurses may well not be able to get to work. The NHS is already in crisis, and yet here we are. People who walk up and down trains checking tickets are going to make intensive care wards even more stretched. They're literally making life harder for other people, in the case of nurses, who are probably on a lower pay scale than them. I mean, it's hardly workers of the world unite, is it? But they don't really care about people dying, do they, in my opinion? They just care about being as much of a nuisance as possible. Make no mistake, this isn't really about money, in my opinion. It's about trying to bring down our government, to bash Boris, to get Boris biffed. After all, how could it possibly be about the money? It's probably at this point that it's worth us all taking stock, sitting back and just taking a moment to see just how much money some of the ringleaders or former ringleaders of this kind of RMT industrial action are actually paid. What is the salary of the people whipping up this deeply socialist strike? Well, according to the Taxpayers Alliance, the ironically named Mick Cash, yes, he's actually called Mr. Cash, who is the RMT's former General Secretary, took home a total remuneration of £163,468 in 2020, including £1,432 in car benefits. Steve Headley, good old Steve, former RMT Senior Assistant General Secretary, had a total remuneration of £94,016, including £2,945, you guessed it, in car benefit in the same year. Former RMT Assistant General Secretary, and for a while anyway was the union's General Secretary, Mick Lynch, had total remuneration of £118,450 in 2020. You basically get the gist, ladies and gentlemen. They're pretty well remunerated. Now, an average train driver's salary is apparently £48,500 a year. That's not too bad, is it? And the annual wage of a full-time tube driver was revealed as £56,496. Well, day one at the office. Shall we work through it together? Day one at the office as a tube driver, shall we? Right, let's teach you how to drive this thing. Forward. Stop. And you're all done. So there we go. I think that's not a bad result, frankly, if you're on that kind of money. There are numerous train company workers who are striking as well. One of them is the Avanti West Coast service. Now, this is quite bad news for Avanti, actually, because I travel on that service quite a lot. So here we go. And may I just now take the opportunity, live on national television, to try to give you, Avanti, a taste of some of the out-and-out misery that you have given me in recent months. 3 times in a row, my train was cancelled with just a couple of hours' notice. One time, I was forced to sit in the cubbyhole where your drinks trolley should have been, but of course it wasn't actually there because apparently you didn't have the staff to run that service. Which was just as well, because trying to find a seat in the economy section is like hacking through the Amazon rainforest. In fact, that's the only time I've ever actually travelled first class with Avanti, curled up in a ball, sat on top of someone's suitcase in the hovel where your drinks trolley should have been. Then, I suppose if you want something to eat or drink, well, ladies and gents, you might as well just bring your own food, because the sandwiches all appear to have rising damp. They have the same complexion as Bob Geldof after an absolutely massive rave. If I threw one of them at a wall, which I felt like doing, it would stick to it. The wine, don't get me started on the wine, OK? Little tiny cups of overpriced sulphuric acid. Of course, you can only go to the shop if it's actually open, which sometimes it isn't, because you say that your service is too busy, because you've had to cram all of the people onto it who should have been on the trains that you cancelled previously. What I especially like about the Avanti West Coast service is the fact that you get to play a game. And that game is called Destination Roulette. So you get on, you think you're going to Liverpool Lime Street, and then all of a sudden you're terminating at Crewe. Now, of course, Avanti say they do everything within their power to avoid delays and cancellations, but sometimes they're unavoidable and out of their hands, and that's important legally for me to have to say now. But the idea that this lot are going to take industrial action is absolutely ludicrous. The only people hard done by on your trains are the passengers. Look, this is political, and the fact that Labour are backing it is a national scandal as far as I'm concerned. They've thrown the book at Boris, and still, they can't get rid of him. So they want to cripple Britain instead, and hope that that works. The Labour Party is clearly willing for people to die, basically, because doctors and nurses can't get to work, kids to fail their exams because they can't get to school. The cost of our economy is going to be 150 million quid in the middle of a financial crisis, just to increase their chances of obtaining power. It's a shame that Thatcher closed all the pits. because I'd happily lob Starmer and the unions down one.